Welcome back, consumers. I'm Isaac.
And I'm Mary. And as promised, we're here to talk about Davis Estates and our experience there.
Driving up to Davis Estates, you get to see a lot of the front vineyards. And then as you park in the back. So while you're on the deck, you get to see a lot of really great views. You get to see most of the valley floor and then the mountains behind.
So regarding those views on that deck, when you walk into the tasting room, it's very rustic, but still has that nicer feel, like shabby chic, I guess. Very rustic and nice. And then the tasting room opens up to this very large covered deck. And there's some swings and different areas to sit and enjoy the views.
So in the tasting room, if you're a fan of art, you get a great opportunity to see a Picasso right over the fireplace. So that was really something cool to take in. And then in the VIP tasting room, they had a Rembrandt on display, both owned by the owners of the winery. They were given as gifts throughout their time together as a couple, and they have them displayed there for everyone to enjoy.
So before we started our tasting, we got to learn a little bit about the history of Davis Estates and how the family came to own it and all of that. So the estate actually used to be owned by the Coit family, who owns the Coit Tower in San Francisco is kind of what they're known for. And so they had these vineyards for many years. So members of the Saves family actually also cared for a lot of the land when the Coit family owned it, and there was a building on property that's still there today that is called the Foreman's Shed, because that's where the Saves family would stay whenever they came to care for the land. So that's something that's a little bit interesting about Davis Estates, is the older building is still standing there, and there's a lot of original aspects to the land and property, even though the actual tasting room is new.
So over time, the Coit family decided to give the Saves family most of the land. I think they gave them 90 acres. And then that's the land that they built a residence on and stayed on for many years, and that later Davis purchased, and they've added an additional 60 acres to that plot of land.
So with that, Davis Estates was able to open in their tasting room in May 2016.
Today, Davis only uses about 12 to 13 acres of the land to grow grapes. On that land, we see Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, and Petit Syrah.
So after learning all of this information, we moved inside to do our tasting, starting with a Sauvignon Blanc, like many of our other tastings in Napa. This one was definitely on the crisper side, but it still had that nice rounding out from that little bit of oak that it sees.
So the next one we tried was the Cab Franc. It was very smooth, very velvety, it had a very warm growing year, and on the nose and on the taste you could get a little bit of green pepper, which was kind of a standout flavor for us.
After that, we got the chance to taste the Petit Verdot, which was from 2011, and it was a pretty rough year for Napa. So originally Davis Estates didn't even release this Petit Verdot because they really didn't think that it was ready yet. So just in the last year or so have they started pouring it and tasting it and seeing how it is. And it sounds like it's improved a lot over time. For us, it wasn't our favorite. It came off very acidic still.
Yeah, it felt like it was really tight, that it never really was able to kind of blossom and give all those flavors that it's kind of hiding underneath that acidic rind.
Right, so in a few more years, it might be worth trying again, but for right now, it wasn't something that we loved.
The last wine we had at Davis Estates was the Zephyr, and that's a Bordeaux blend, which is something that's really popular in Napa, and it was aged about 28 months in 60% French oak. And so that gave it just this incredible flavor. It had a huge depth of flavor. It was definitely a standout wine. So at Davis Estates, they have multiple levels of tastings that are available. Some of them even include food because they have a fully operational kitchen in the tasting room. And it was definitely a chef's dream of a kitchen. It was really cool.
Overall, we had a great time at Davis Estates and would definitely go back and highly recommend checking them out.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode on Davis Estates. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time.
Drink more wine.